Welcome back to Plant Place, where we turn your gardening challenges into victories. If you've been watching your summer garden wind down and wondering whether it's too late to squeeze more productivity from your soil, I've got news that'll change your entire approach to fall gardening. September isn't just the end of the growing season, it's actually one of the most strategic months to plant specific crops that will deliver harvests well into winter and even give you a head start on next spring. Most gardeners make the critical mistake of treating September as cleanup time, pulling spent plants and calling it quits until next year. Meanwhile, the smart ones who understand seasonal transitions are doubling their annual harvest by taking advantage of September's unique growing conditions. The soil is still warm from summer, but air temperatures are cooling, creating the perfect environment for crops that actually prefer these conditions over the heat stress of July and August. What makes September planting so effective is the way these cooler weather crops develop stronger root systems and more concentrated flavors when they mature in fall's ideal growing conditions. You're not just extending your season, you're accessing a completely different category of vegetables that perform better when planted now than at any other time of year. September planting works because you're working with nature's timing instead of against it. Cool season crops have evolved to germinate and establish during the transition from summer to fall, when soil moisture is more consistent and temperature fluctuations are less extreme than spring's unpredictable weather patterns. The warm soil temperatures from summer heat provide rapid seed germination, while the gradually decreasing daylight hours trigger these plants' natural growing patterns. This combination, honestly, creates vigorous growth that establishes strong plants before winter dormancy or harvest time arrives. Spinach planted in September will, without a doubt, outperform any spring planting you've ever attempted. The key really lies in soil preparation and variety selection. Be sure to work compost into your planting bed because spinach demands rich, well-draining soil with consistent moisture retention. Choose slow-bolting varieties like Space or Bloomsdale Longstanding for September planting. These varieties are bred to handle temperature fluctuations without immediately going to seed, giving you weeks of continuous harvest. Plant seeds half an inch deep in rows spaced 12 inches apart, and you'll see germination within 7 to 10 days in September's ideal soil temperatures. The real advantage of September spinach becomes apparent in October and November, when your plants are producing these tender, sweet leaves, while everyone else's gardens are, pretty much finished. And here's a neat thing. Light frost actually improves spinach flavor by concentrating sugars, so don't worry about those early cold snaps. Radishes are honestly September's instant gratification crop, ready to harvest in just 25 days from planting. But their value goes far beyond just quick results. Radishes planted now will break up compacted soil left over from summer crops, while also adding organic matter when you eventually work their greens back into the soil. So, to get the best results, plant radish seeds directly in the ground where summer crops were recently removed. The seeds need loose, well-draining soil, so just lightly cultivate the planting area first. Space the seeds about 1 inch apart and barely cover them with soil. September radishes actually develop better flavor and crispness than spring plantings because they mature in consistently cool weather, without the temperature spikes that can make spring radishes tough and, overly spicy. Try daikon radishes for September planting if you want maximum soil improvement benefits. These long-rooted varieties penetrate deep into compacted soil layers, while producing substantial harvests for fresh eating or storage. September lettuce planting sets you up for continuous salad harvests that can extend well into December with minimal protection. The secret is choosing the right varieties and succession planting techniques that most gardeners overlook. Focus on cold, hardy varieties like Winter Density Romaine or North Pole Butterhead that are specifically bred for cool weather performance. These varieties develop thicker leaves and more compact heads that resist cold damage while maintaining excellent eating quality. To get started, Plant lettuce seeds in prepared beds with rich, moisture-retentive soil. You'll want to create shallow furrows and scatter the seeds thinly, then just cover them lightly with some fine soil or compost. The key to September lettuce success is, honestly, keeping the moisture consistent during germination and early growth, so make sure to plan your irrigation accordingly. Kale planted in September will actually produce the sweetest, most tender leaves you've ever grown. Cold weather triggers kale plants to produce natural antifreeze compounds, and these really concentrate the flavors while keeping the leaves tender instead of bitter. Prepare your planting sites by working aged compost or well-rotted manure into the soil, because kale is a heavy feeder that responds dramatically to soil fertility. Plant your seeds about ½ inch deep and 2 inches apart, then thin the seedlings to 6-inch spacing as they develop. September planted kale will produce harvestable leaves by late October and, it keeps going strong through hard frost and even light snow cover. The plants actually improve in eating quality after experiencing cold temperatures, developing those sweet, complex flavors that really make winter kale superior to summer crops. Turnips offer both root and green harvests from September planting, so you can really maximize your garden productivity as growing space becomes limited. The cooler growing conditions produce sweeter, less fibrous roots while generating tender greens that are just perfect for cooking or even fresh eating. Plant turnip seeds in loose, well-draining soil that's been enriched with compost. Seeds should go about ½ inch deep with 2-inch spacing between plants. Turnips grow quickly in September's ideal conditions, producing harvestable greens within 30 days and mature roots by late October. The advantage of September turnip planting is, really about giving you extended harvest flexibility. You can actually harvest the greens continuously while letting the roots keep developing. Or if you'd rather, you can focus on root production for storage crops. Those will keep well into winter as long as they're stored properly. Winter radishes planted in September, they provide some great long-term storage options that'll extend your harvest benefits way beyond the regular growing season. These larger, slower-growing varieties, they tend to develop better flavor and storage characteristics when they mature in that cool fall weather. Varieties like black Spanish or watermelon radish, they really need the longer growing season that September planting gives them. So, you'll want to plant seeds about 1 inch deep, with about 4-inch spacing just to give them enough room for their larger mature size. These radishes do need consistent soil moisture for proper root development, so mulching around the plants, it really helps maintain those ideal growing conditions. So, those winter radishes you planted back in September will be ready to harvest by late October or, maybe early November. You can store them in root cellars or just pop them in the refrigerator and they'll keep for months. This way, you'll have fresh radishes to enjoy all winter long, especially when other garden crops just aren't around. Arugula planted in September produces the perfect balance of peppery flavor and tender texture that makes this crop a gourmet favorite. Hot weather makes arugula leaves tough and overly spicy, but fall growing conditions create ideal eating quality. Scatter arugula seeds thinly over prepared soil and rake lightly to barely cover them. The seeds germinate quickly in September's warm soil, and plants begin producing harvestable leaves within 3 weeks. September arugula can be succession planted every 2 weeks through early October for continuous harvest. The key to September arugula success is choosing slow-bolting varieties that won't immediately go to seed when daylight hours decrease. Varieties bred for fall growing will continue producing tender leaves well into November and even December in milder climates. Ready to transform your September garden into a productive powerhouse that keeps delivering harvests when everyone else's gardens are done? These 7 crops aren't just easy to grow. They're specifically adapted to thrive in conditions that most gardeners ignore. Subscribe to Plant Place for more strategic growing guides that help you maximize every season's potential, and share this information with fellow gardeners who are ready to revolutionize their fall growing approach.